Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jewelers reimagines family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Working one-on-one, Duke's designers honor the original story while creating something fresh and modern. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com, where old stories become new treasures.
Hey, Wooly Bully! We got the bully of radio coming up next. We're talking to Mike Folta, and all Utah Mammoth interviews are brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Mike, you're a strong man this morning, aren't you?
I'm feeling great, PK. We've got our first 18 holes of the season coming up, and can you see this right here? Yeah. This is the scorecard and the picture of my first hole in one. I am channeling that energy today at Old Mill. Going to be playing with some of our broadcast crew. So if you see anybody who looks like they're, trimming the shrubbery or working on the grounds, it's not one of the maintenance crew. It's probably me.
Oh, Old Mill. Yeah. I actually played 9 holes there yesterday.
How's it look?
That's fine. Yeah. It's a staple of the public courses over on the east side. There's not as many of them over there, and that's obviously right up against the hills. My wife plays in the women's league there at Old Mill. Yeah, and you could go see her face right outside the restrooms there. They have everybody in the women's league, their mug shots there. She's 2-time ladies club champion, I might add.
Oh, come on. So I thought you were the golfer of the household this whole time, but really you're just riding in your wife's wake.
Yeah, she's won it twice, and she's aiming to win it a third time, but we shall see. So you haven't had a hole-in-one? You're looking for your first one?
That picture, that was me, 177 yards, River Glen Golf Club in Fishers, Indiana. Hit it to 176 at one hopped in and 177. Oh, nice. So that was my first one. Get this, it was at like a charity golf outing, and there's 4 par 3s on the course. Mm-hmm. On one of the par 3s, if you get a hole in one, you win like a brand new Chevy Silverado. Wow. On another one of the par 3s, you win like a straight up 10 grand cash. I hit the hole in one on one of the par 3s with nothing. So it was the longest par 3 of the course, and I got absolutely nothing from it.
It didn't make any sense.
I come back to the clubhouse, and you're supposed to buy around for everybody in the clubhouse, right? So I'm like basically throwing my card on the table, like, hey guys, like, what do you want? And almost nobody believed me. I was there with my dad, so I had some backup. He believed me, but I was a little disappointed at the reception I got from the hole in one. I thought that would have been cause for celebration, Yeah. Drinks in the air, right? Yeah. No, it was not the vibe. Everybody was like, yeah, oh, okay.
The silent treatment almost.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. If I would have hit it on one of the par 3s where a truck or some money was in play, and I had to actually start signing some documents, then that would be a little bit of a different story, I guess. Maybe they would have believed me then. But nope, all I have is the memory to take with me.
Oh, well, that's cool. You got a hole in one. I mean, I've had 2.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, and they were both exciting, obviously. So there you go. All right. Well, good luck today as you get going with your golf. That'll be a lot of fun for sure. Mammoth had some fun the other night. Now, they just pasted the Kings 6-2. And I was making this point that they don't, in my mind, and see what you get your reaction to it. In my mind, they don't need to hammer people to gain confidence because I think they already have confidence. So what I'm getting at, if they would have gone down there and won 4-2, 3-2, whatever it might be, I think that's confidence enough. The fact that they sort of piled it on is great, but I don't look at it like, wow, that was an eye-opening way they won. It's just simply that they won, to me, brings the confidence. How much do you think final score actually matters as opposed to winning, gaining confidence, taking another step towards clinching a playoff berth?
Yeah, I think that everybody involved knows that when you play good teams, you're not going to win 6-2 every night. I think the Mammoth looked really good against the Kings on Saturday night. I think the Kings also played a bad game, like a D- or an F game. So I think you have to take that into account. But head coach Andre Tourney and veteran defenseman Nate Schmidt, they called that game a blueprint game. And look, I think if the Mammoth keep playing that way, they're going to win. But kind of like you said, they could play that same way on Thursday against Seattle and win 3-2 instead of 6-2.
Right.
And you still have to be good with that. But it was interesting. We scored 6 goals, and talking to Bear the other day after practice, he was talking about the defensive side. He was talking about how elite this team's defensive effort was in that game, and how, if we're handing out playbooks at the start of next year, he's using 3 or 4 examples of how to play in our own defensive zone from that game against the Kings. And the Kings have not been an elite offensive team this year, but they do have some incredible players, Anze Kopitar, Artemi Panarin. These are elite players, and the Mammoth really kept them in check. So blueprint game for Utah, not in the final score, but just in the way that they use their speed to defend.
Right.
And then the Mammoth got going off the rush. And I think that's part of it too, is Utah is skilled enough where if you lock down and take care of your own zone, your skill eventually is going to take over in the game.
Right. That's what I was getting at, rather than, wow, can you believe that score? That's nice, but in the way they play and how they play, to me, is more important as they make this playoff push. You may find this hard to believe, but long before you were born, I was working for a suburban newspaper in the Los Angeles area, and the Kings were really good. And so I was not the Kings beat writer, but I got to cover a number of Kings games as far as writing sidebar pieces in the postseason and all that.
Who were the big names there?
Well, there was this guy named Gretzky. I think Marty McSorley, Luc Robitaille, to name a few. Those
names are hanging up in the rafters at crypto.com right now, I think.
Yeah, and I can remember our lead hockey writer did a big feature on Robitaille. Well, I think has property up here. I want to say Heber Valley, if I remember, because the Kings, they would do the Frozen deal, play a preseason game up here for a few years.
Fury.
Yeah, right. And so we would have him on. And so anyway, our Kings writer did a big feature, and the guys on the desk thought they had a clever headline, like they call it Luke of the Draw, right? Leaving off the K. And then somebody above them changed it and put the K on there, Luck of the Draw. And so the original headline writer was all furious about that. He was trying to have a play on words, and some idiot editor changed it. And that became a big...
Why do we even have editors? Come on.
I don't know why I remember that 30 plus years ago, but I do. Remember the guy was so bummed because he thought he had a clever headline and somebody above him changed it, and then it took away all the meaning, and the whole story was just about how his career went and so forth, and ends up on the Kings, yada yada, and how happy he was, blah blah blah. So anyway, there you go with the Kings. So I have a little history with them way back in the old days. You got, and I'm reading your notes you sent us, a 95% chance to make the playoffs. I mean, that's How real is that, do you think? Because sometimes I see this stuff, they had a 92% chance winning. Like Duke probably had a 99.9% winning chance, the other day. But a couple plays happen, turnovers, missed free throws, blah, 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 and three-pointer, and it's out the window. I never really buy that. So how legitimate is this?
I'm the same way. I mean, I put that in the notes to illustrate how close Utah is, but I'm the same way. Like especially the win probability in game.
Right.
I think that's just like, why do we even play the games? You got a 99% chance to win. Like, come on, we know better than that. This is March.
Right.
If anybody has ever watched this NCAA basketball tournament before, we know it's not true. Same thing with like a 2-goal lead in hockey. The numbers say you have a 90% chance to win. 2-goal leads disappeared like the Easter Bunny.
They could be gone in a minute, literally.
Exactly. So I don't buy that a ton. I think what the numbers do explain, though, is there's a lot more ways for the Mammoth to make the playoffs than there are to miss the playoffs. And I think that's at the core of those numbers where, I mean, the Mammoth control their own destiny. Like if they win out, they're in.
And that's all that matters.
Right. Now, I don't think that's not realistic to expect they win these last, 7-8 games?
No,
of the regular.
But they don't literally have to win every one of them.
No, and you still have a bunch of games left against Western Conference teams. Those are important, but you got a 5, or as of today, you still have a 5-point lead on Nashville in the second wild card spot, and then you're up a little bit more on the LA Kings, who are trying to climb into a wild card spot. But that factors in winning percentage, and it factors in your strength of schedule. Mammoth have a relatively easy strength of schedule, although you can't really pay much attention to that either, because this time of year, a bunch of bad teams will win random games that they shouldn't. So nothing is taken for granted. The 95% number, like in totality, doesn't mean much. It's just hopefully illustrating that there's a lot more ways this can go right than it can go wrong. And part of that would be probably another team surging up. Like another team would have to get on a bit of a heater here to catch Utah. But if you just take care of your business night in, night out, no one's going to catch you. You've earned that spot. And so that's where the Mammoth are. And that's why every single one of those little points is important all throughout an 82-game schedule.
If your idea of a group getaway is another conference room, just stop. Virginia International Raceway flips the script. Host meetings, retreats, or team getaways any time of the week. With on-site dining, lodging, open space, and adrenaline-filled activities like karting and off-roading. It's where work meets wow, and where people actually want to be. Bring the team somewhere unforgettable and make it a getaway everyone can really look forward to. Learn more at virnow.com.
Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Yeah, and the way I view postseason is you've got to have postseason experience in order to win in the postseason, meaning that first-time players, first-time teams, they're probably going to stumble, and then they build from there. We've seen it in many sports, and there's so many guys on this team that don't have playoff experience. So that's where it becomes imperative, because I think it's virtually mandatory to have success in postseason, to have had first experience in postseason. And guys like the younger guys, obviously, and Keller, we know about Gunther and Cooley and being so young, but there's some other guys that I think that need it. So in my experience and my perspective, no matter what happens in the postseason, the fact that they made the postseason will be beneficial over the course of the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and I've always been a believer in the lose big, lose close, win big progression. And the Mammoth last year were losing close. Now they're kind of winning close, but still maybe not one of the Stanley Cup favorites. You mentioned Keller and a lack of experience. That core that came over from Arizona, they've really never been to the postseason.
Right.
Keller, Schmaltz, Krause, Barrett, Hayden, they were with the team in Arizona when they did make the playoffs the COVID year, but that was a year where if you remember, the hockey season just stopped in February or March. And so you didn't have to battle into the postseason, if that made sense. They just drew a line in the sand, and they took more teams than they normally did too.
Right.
24 teams made the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
So, and there were no fans. So there's nothing about that year that makes the playoffs the playoffs.
I don't really count that.
No, I don't count that either. But I use, think of Mikhail Sergachev. So he was in Tampa Bay with some really good teams, and they had rebuilt a little bit and eventually had a juggernaut right around that same time, 2020. And it was 2019 when they were the best team in the National Hockey League. They were the President's Trophy winners, and they go up against the lowly 8th seed Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round.
Yeah.
And they get swept by the Blue Jackets. It was like a reverse sweep. The lower seed swept the higher seed. It was one of the most shocking things of that postseason. But that was the Lightning thinking they were there, only to realize in the postseason they didn't have those chops yet. Well, what happens the next 2 years? They win back-to-back Stanley Cups in 2020 and 2021. So that's kind of a case of, okay, you had to get there, take your lumps in the playoffs, and then eventually that set you up for success down the road. We've seen the same thing with the Panthers, who have won the last 2 Stanley Cups. But here's another thing to think about, PK. The team you're likely going to face in the first round, the Anaheim Ducks, they also have a very young core with a lot of guys who have not won anything or even sniffed the postseason. When you think about their young stars, Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson, both of whom got banged up last night, by the way. Hopefully they're okay. But they have a very young core that has also not been to the playoffs. So it'll be an interesting matchup in the first round if we do get Utah Anaheim. You might even have to give the edge to the Ducks because their head coach is Joel Quenneville, who led the Blackhawks to 3 cups in 6 years in the early 2010s.
Mike Folta, the radio play-by-play voice of the Mammoth, joining us here on the KSL Sports Zone. Now, you speak of the coach. What is going on in Vegas that they would think, and I know they brought in a big name, but with 8 games to go, that seems so bizarre to me.
It is bizarre. It's bizarre, and a lot of times you get a new coaching bump in hockey. And so, we saw it earlier this season with the Columbus Blue Jackets. They fire their head coach. They bring in Rick Bowness, whose daughter, Kristen Bowness, actually runs our community effort with the Utah Mammoth and our youth hockey efforts. But the Blue Jackets went on a run when they got a new head coach. Now, that was the middle of the season.
Right.
8 games left in the regular season. You bring in John Tortorella, a very experienced head coach, but you're replacing a guy in Bruce Cassidy who brought you a Stanley Cup a few years ago. There is a little bit of precedence for this in the NHL. It's happened, I think, 5 times where a team was in a playoff spot with 8 games to go or 10 or less games to go, and they fired their coach. There's a famous instance from the year 2000 when actually Utah's assistant coach, John Madden, was on the New Jersey Devils, and Lou Lamoriello, the GM, he fired the head coach. He brought in a new guy, and the Devils went on to win the Stanley Cup with that new coach. So it's happened before. Vegas has been trending down really the last several months. They've only won 5 games. I think they won last night. So maybe 6 games now since the Olympic break. So they've really been struggling. But it's interesting, PK, their goaltending has been some of the worst in the league. Head coach really can't control that. Mm-hmm. If they just got even average goaltending, Bruce Cassidy would still have a job. So weird times in Vegas, but they're trying to create a spark.
Does Painter of Purdue still have a job?
Oh, please. Please.
I'm just
how
kidding.
many straight Sweet 16s and Elite Eights is this? Like, look, I think
he has the Carolina job.
I think Purdue just lost to the national champion.
Is that what I was going to get your take on that? You're thinking that
yeah,
you don't like Michigan and UConn with Hurley punching out referees and whatnot?
Look, I am the furthest thing from a Dan Hurley apologist after what he did to Purdue in the national championship game in 2024. But the bracket's looking good. I got 3 out of the final 4. So it's coming down for me. If Arizona wins it, I'm going to win in our Mammoth bracket pool. If Michigan wins, our producer Will Trubshaw will secure the bag. But the bracket's looking good. Sad for my Purdue Boilermakers, but I like the hire that Utah State pulled in as well, though. What's the guy's name from UNI?
Do you know about him?
I just know what I've seen on socials, and it looks like he's a pretty good character guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that that's much of an issue as far as that goes. You're talking about obviously Ben Jacobson from Northern Iowa. You know that guy's the Colorado State coach. Got the big long name. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it. Yak. Did you say that on the air?
I'll say it on there. Ali Farokhmanesh.
Yeah. So they went to the Sweet 16 in, what was it, 2010?
2009.
2009? Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so they were playing in Oklahoma City. And BYU was actually in the Oklahoma City region at that time. So I was at that game. So I'm saying that if this new guy, Jacobson, wants to go to the Sweet 16 again, that he's got to make sure he has me in the audience because I was there watching that game. And the Cougars with Jimmer Fredette, they had won a game. I forget who they beat, Florida, I think. And then lost to Kansas State. And then the next year they went to the Sweet 16. So, yeah, I mean, and he's 55 years old. You know, they've gone for the younger guy, and then he leaves after 1 or 2 years. Last 3 coaches, 1 year, 2 year, 2 years. Maybe he stays a couple more if he has success. I don't know. You never know what's ahead. Who knows? Who knows what's down the line in all of sports for that matter, trying to predict. But it seems like on paper they got somebody who knows what they're doing in 20 years as a head coach. That's pretty doggone good. So we'll go from there.
I like how he had the press conference at UNI. A lot of guys just leave. But I like how he addressed the local media on his way out. They've had a couple runs, haven't they? They've had a couple tournament wins. I can't remember who they beat, but they've been a trendy 12-5 at least once.
You know our guy Scott Gerard, right?
Yeah.
So he tweets out. You know he has your job for the Aggies, right? Football and basketball. Right. And so he tweets out, man, I can't ever recall a coach who's taking another job going and having an outgoing press conference. And I texted him, Scotty, go back to when Bronco Mendenhall left BYU. He had a press conference on Friday night at 6 o'clock in the Christmas season, and you sent me down there to cover it.
That's the ultimate Friday news dump right there. Ultimate Friday news dump.
And I was going out. We had a little party scheduled. I told my wife, I said, can't go. I got to go to Provo. So there I was for the next 2+ hours. So Scotty was a program director at the time. So he assigned me to go, and I went. You know, I'm a dutiful soldier. I do what I'm told. I'm a lunch pail guy, and I went. So I texted him, come on, man. What do you mean you can't recall? You had me do that very thing in, what was it, 2015.
Well, that's why he doesn't remember, because he wasn't there. He was eating Christmas cookies at the company party.
Precisely.
While poor old PK is hoofing it down to Provo.
Exactly, yes. So, all right, Mike, we appreciate your time, and I like you. I want you to have success here during your tenure in Utah, but it's awfully hard for me to pull for Arizona to win the whole thing.
I completely understand. If I were in your shoes, I'd be saying the same thing. So we'll talk to everybody tomorrow night on Hockey Night in Utah. Big one against the Seattle Kraken.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Virginia International Raceway wasn't built for traffic. It was built for drivers. Kaizen Autosport puts you behind the wheel of Virginia International Raceway. Kaizen Autosport delivers elite driving experiences and professional racing schools at VIR with expert coaches, structured instruction, and real performance cars. Whether you're brand new or ready to push limits, this is where drivers are made. Learn more and book your VIR experience at drivevir.com. That's drivevir.com.